Hello, hopefully you
Hello.
can hear me. Someone confirm if that is the case, because I can see a little X next to my input. Can you hear me? If I click
So,
that, can you not hear me? Right, can you hear me now? Right, great. Can you hear Richard? Say hello, Richard.
hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Is he very loud?
I'm very loud to Kieran, but am I loud to you? Because you matter most, not Kieran.
Wait and see if someone can
Yes?
confirm that.
No?
Yeah, can hear him fine. Right, great.
Perfect.
See?
Wow.
Easy.
Wow.
No need for tech support this time. Okay.
Take a break, Rachel.
Yeah, you're off. So, as already detailed, hopefully you have read that. We're going to talk about the rules changes. I imagine most people have seen them or have, um, like, someone's told them something about it. Some people are avoiding it, and that's fine. If you don't want to hear about it, then you're probably in the wrong place because that's something that we're going to be talking about. But we'll kind of go through some of the things that we've noticed and the positives, mostly
Mm,
positives for me, to be honest. But a couple of things that will be interesting to see a bit more about, how it'll impact our armies, what we think the sort of benefits of this are, and yeah, maybe just a wee bit at the end about the events that are coming up and stuff as well. So, hello. If hopefully people in the chat are aware of what this is about. Scottish people talking about heresy and trying to. We're looking for something to do over lockdown. This everyone wants to start a podcast of some kind, and that's what we chose to do. We
yeah.
skipped last month because I was driving up from Warhammer World and would have been on the A9, which doesn't have good phone reception, and who wants to be doing some sort of podcast while driving anyway. And then the time before that was the last one we did, so we skipped a month. But I think this is our 12th, which is pretty good going.
Yeah, it
And
will be. Yeah.
we've never quite until lockdown light. Well, it's not really lockdown, but until it's sort of normal again, which should be this month for Scotland, and then we'll see if we can turn this into something more like, I don't know, streaming games and stuff. If these new rules are coming, which would be really really good for us. So
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
that would be a swing. You can see I'd have to clean this big pile of boxes behind me, but that is the fortress for next weekend's Titan game, which we'll probably talk about at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the first thing is how you getting on and what have you been up to, Richard, and folk in the chat as well.
Yeah, I'm alright, mate. Busy with the prepping of the Titans for next weekend, which you seen earlier. Hopefully some of you have seen it in the Discord chat. I posted them up. So I'm pretty much on a snagging list now. So just finishing up the trims, the weapons. But it's you know what? I'm kind of glad it's finished now because it was a big project.
I'm gonna have to turn
I'm sure you
my
felt the
light
same
on.
with yours.
Bear with me.
Um,
Get some light in this mess. The
um,
advantage of headsets. Yeah, so I think like yours look obviously a lot better than mine. Scott
don't say that.
Scott Gray's look a lot better
All
than
effort.
anyone's probably. But getting that done to that point is obviously super satisfying. So yeah, it's been
Yeah,
great seeing.
I would never say to anyone not buy a Titan because they're absolutely amazing models to work on and put a lot of effort in. They are absolutely really enjoyable to do. It's just obviously it's a big project. So once you get to the end of it, you're kind of glad.
But
Um,
quite forgiving, I would say. At least a Reaver
yeah,
and a Warhound are a lot more forgiving than the more detailed newer kits. I think
mm,
when you look at how few components both of those kits have, then it should probably put people's mind at ease a little bit around the project at hand.
yeah,
Because it's not that. It's pistons and a body and some legs. Like it's not that complicated really to get stuck into it. You just have
yeah.
to pick a
No,
scheme, stick to your scheme, and get on with it.
yeah.
Um,
No, so yeah, pretty much. I've been pretty much bashing that out for the last month. Not much else apart from that, really. Yeah, still not any further with militia. Usual story every episode. But there's reasons for that, which I'm sure we'll delve into.
Yeah, so I'm the same with sort of Solar Auxilia. I've got a wee bit still to work on for them, but have been kind of put off, and then I've got
Mm.
this small pile of Victoria miniatures, which you definitely won't be able to see in this on the stream, but I've been working on my kilted militia, who've been parked a little bit just because of the uncertainty. They're definitely getting a book, so that's the first thing.
Yeah.
They're definitely in the game. Militia are mentioned, Solar Auxilia are mentioned, Mechanicum are mentioned, and we will get a book, but when is probably the more
Yeah.
difficult challenge, because I don't think
And
it'll be on launch.
And what's in it? That's
Yeah.
that's really the question, isn't it? So,
Exactly. So
yeah.
so I guess we'll just get fired in. So, well, in fact, I'll show you that. I was working on those, working on some Space Wolves, which again, pointless showing things on that camera. Space Wolves, I've been repainting some of my older stuff. I did quite a quick wash over some greys, and I've been trying to rescue that by just painting back over the grey so that the wash goes away, and then doing my edge highlighting. And it's actually it's saving quite a lot of time by trying to save as much of the work as I can, because then it's kind of done to the level I would want it to be done at anyway. So I should have a relatively decent infantry-sized force for when the new edition comes. So that's pretty much what I've been in the mood for just now, plus trying to do this big fortress.
Cool. Nice.
Just don't ask my opinion again from Rachel. No, that was fine. Other people agreed with you. And it's fine. Like it's that. I think a wash makes a model look finished, but like the stage I was at with edge highlighting, there was more I could do. Maybe like some weathering round the feet and things like that. Because I think a wash over a model, it just makes it look like that's the last thing you're going to do to it. You don't really generally go back and do more after a wash. So that's where Rachel.
Yeah, unless you're adding further highlights and all that, then yeah.
So I don't mind her saying that. So I think that I'll say this once because, and I'll probably end up mentioning it again and again, but really just to be quite clear, we don't have all of the information on the rules. These are draft playtest rules that have leaked. The Loyalist book looks a lot further along and also says playtest 3 in a lot of these leaks, whereas the Traitor one seems like it's almost early doors. I think there's some clear disparity between those two documents when the Loyalist one looks like it's got art and stuff added, so to me it screams like it's a nearly finished document. But it's important to say all that. We won't be sharing any pictures on the stream because we're a tiny crap little channel on Twitch, no one's going to care. But I just think it's not that hard to find it if you're looking for it yourself. It's not a challenge to find these things, and I just don't want to be like, what's the point of me uploading all these images to the video? It takes ages to do. You can find that yourself easy enough. So
it's all over Reddit and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So. It's not hard to find. You just have to do a bit of sleuthing yourself. So I think my first thing really is that I just think it looks really, really good on paper. I think it's an exciting looking game. Not going to be fully waxing lyrical about it. There is some concerns, we'll say, that I've got. But what do you think in terms of? Do you think it's better?
Better. Yes. I'm going to go straight up and say yes. And it's just, I think you can tell they've refined aspects of it. I think taking stuff like, like strength of weapons above max 10, just things like that opens up more intricate sort of ways to cause damage and all that sort of stuff on vehicles or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's a good change there. And just things like that, they've obviously refined the 7th edition rules. And if you think about it, we've been on those rules for 8 years? 7 years? Something like that?
I think it's more.
Would it be more than that?
It might be more.
Probably is actually, yeah. Yeah, I guess it would be, wouldn't it, really? Because it was 6th into 7th and then stayed on 7th, whatever.
I think it started in 5th as well, technically, if memory serves, yeah.
From Book 1, right, okay. But no, I think it is going to be better. It looks better. It's an edition. I think all the players, or most of the players, will say, like the edition. They like the way it plays, and all the changes have refined things and tweaked things just so they're a bit more balanced. Which we'll go into. I mean, things like one thing that stood out to me, plasma. That's now what, breaching, I think it's called. So rather than being automatically AP2, it's almost like old rending, but it's like a 4 plus
Yeah.
on most things or things like that. You know, I'm curious to see what they've done with vehicles. Now that vehicles have movement 12, 16, 14, whatever, does that mean they're always able to move that speed and fire all their weapons, or do they move half and then fire everything? Because how before you would go full and fire one weapon or whatever, things like that. So no, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be better.
I think there is clearly whoever they've asked to play test or whoever has been involved in this process understands that kind of core concept of this is a game that traditionally, not always, but traditionally is lots and lots of models on the board shooting each other to bits. It's interesting that because given that they've had free reign to not follow 40k, it's interesting they opted not to go for a you go and then I go system during each turn. The only thing I can think would be the reason would be it just take a lot longer into like when you've got a full turn to do everything. You move a unit, you move a unit, you move a unit. That's a lot faster than I move a unit and then wait for you and you move a unit. You could end up taking sort of 3 times as long in a game if I move my Rhino forward with 10 guys and then I've got to wait for you to do something and then I've got to react to that. Having this be a bit more sort of like, I'll do everything and your interactions are purely reactions, which we'll probably get onto as a major talking point. I think that just sort of shows they had free reign in the game system. They've made those tweaks that I would probably have made, although we don't have them all yet. And I think that's quite interesting as a dynamic of whoever did it, whether it's a Nuge, which if it is, then thumbs up, my man, or whether it's all done in house by different people. I think they've done a great job, and I'm excited to play it. And I think you almost certainly fall into 2 camps when an edition change comes. You're either like, whatever, I'm playing this and I'm going to have a great time and it's going to be brilliant and I'm really excited, or you fall into the sky's falling, I don't want to do this, I'm going to play the old edition mindset. And I think given that people have been stung by, probably would say Fantasy to AOS is the one that people would mention the most in terms of that was a jarring change of rules. You could probably say the same for 7th edition, 40k to 8th edition as well. That was quite a big swing. We're not really getting that, in my opinion.
No.
I think we're getting a more of the same, and we're getting another dollop of heresy on top of the dollop that we've got. So I'm quite happy with that, I think.
Those things you mentioned, like Fantasy and 40k, the fundamental core of the game changed.
Yeah.
Whereas this is sort of just staying the same at its core, which is good. Yeah.
It's better just from a point of view of it gives you a chance to redress some of the imbalances, and I think that's something that maybe we'll get onto as well in terms of what's changed that I think has changed for my stuff. But what about so I would say this has always been my issue with any Games Workshop or game at all, any game, board games or anything. The sort of bugbear, we'll say, is that how does a new edition avoid being that sort of min-maxy? I've seen a lot of criticism on 40k groups around saying that 40k has given into that tournament mindset, that it's driven by, they had quite a lot of American playtesters apparently, and that's the sort of, they play that style almost exclusively, where it, like an Alpha Strike is seen as good generalship, and that's what the game, they drove it in that direction. And Heresy has that sort of traditional not having that, but I can see it, and I've had this actually I was on the Discord group a couple of days ago having this moan where someone will say something like, I want to run all destroyers as my elites because I'm running an Ultramarine Wordbearer destroy squad, like they base it on Calf, and they're just scorching the earth because the Wordbearers have tainted it and they just want to destroy everything. And then someone will be like, oh no, that's too many, that's crap, run 20 Terminators instead because that's better. and it's really important for me at an edition change that a community comes together and doesn't like agrees not to do that. Like I don't want to see there's only 3 builds for Space Wolves. If you don't run these, you're an idiot. I hate that style of gaming. I've always hated that style of gaming. So hopefully we can avoid that and we'll be able to try and
Yeah, I think that's kind of like a hard thing to avoid through the game and GW and the marketing or whatever. That's really down to the players, isn't it, to make those decisions themselves. And you've got to kind of rely on your local community, really,
yeah, I
to
think
uphold the same that as a community, just speak to each other and say, we want to play it this way. Let's not start getting all these meta builds on the go. Let's just enjoy it and have fun. And I guess that's really the only way you can do it. People are always going to be like that, try and be competitive.
yeah, and I think you kind of saw it in the sort of the older, we'll call it first edition. I don't know. Technically, like a lot of people have been saying it's 1.0 and 2.0 and all that stuff. Call it first edition for ease. You see that with knights and even talons, where people refuse to play those, or you get marked tarred with a brush if you use those armies. Um, I'm not so keen on that because I'm hoping that the second edition will fix that issue where those armies are not seen as these horrible things to play. But
Yeah.
it sort of is self-regulating to an extent. But if you did that, I don't know. There's something about I had an interesting point that someone made to me. So it's looking likely, and this is kind of jumping into something that I was going to talk about later. But it looks likely you can deep strike an assault, and there's a risk involved to it because there's a in the drop pod rules, if you deep strike, it says you can re-roll the result to see if you make a disordered charge when you make a deep strike assault. So
Yeah, I've
there's
seen that. Yeah.
something in there that suggests that you can roll badly and something will happen. I'm hoping, hand on heart, that there'll be a result that's so bad that you just don't get to do anything. Because to me, deep strike assault, if you had an all drop pod list, you might actually kind of have won the game on turn one just because you
Yeah.
completely shower the board and drop pods. You jump out with your guns, shoot things to bits or charge them or whatever. So I'm hoping there's going to be a bit of a mechanism in there that stops that. Because I think I've noticed also augury scanners don't quite have the same. They don't. I don't know what the rules are, but I don't see the point of them if reactions are what they are. So I don't see how they would stop that mechanism. Like an augury scanner would have to be outside of a reaction to work because you're not going to put augury scanners on everyone and then only get to shoot with one of them because you only get one reaction a phase. So it's interesting that mechanism.
Are they definitely still in the game?
Yeah, they're on a couple of unit profiles.
Right, okay.
And I think even a tactical marine can take one now. And it's a normal guy, not a sergeant, which is interesting. So I think that's pretty good. If there's something in there that's a bit more risky, I think that's what I wanted the game to be. I don't mind having something great, but I want there to be a negative involved as well. And I think that's where, like this, there's a Space Wolf Rite of War, looks really spicy in terms of you can take 3 units into outflank, make a flank and assault, and you get rage on the turn you come in. And that's going to be bonkers if there's no negative to that. But that's where we don't have the complete picture, and I don't really like to make generalizations about lists and stuff. Anyway, the point of all that was I was speaking to someone about this, and they said, I just won't, I'll just house rule it that you can't assault from deep strike. And I'm like, you can't start that without having the rule book in front of you until you've got at least 6 months of gameplay under your belt.
Yeah.
You play the core rules as they are. You don't start saying, like, in the very first game, whoever's lucky enough to play me in their first Heresy game when the book's out, I'll probably run Leman Russ, and I'll probably run his Wolves, and I'll probably run Outflank and stuff that can charge, just to see what it's like. And then the next game I'll play something different, and I'll work my way around all the stuff I've got to see what I prefer to use. If it turns out that somehow that's a really, really, really manky tactic, then that's on me to reduce my use of that tactic and not take it to events and stuff like that. I really don't want to get to the point where there's events up and down the country that are like, yeah, we've taken the rules and because the Murnival guys did a great thing on their rule set, we're going to make this our rule set, and it's going to, because we want a bit of that pie, so we're going to make the, I don't know, the Jones version, and it's going to be, or the Heresy.Scott version, and we're going to take out flank and assault because that's rubbish. Like, no, I won't go to your event if you start mucking about with it. I don't see the point. That's one of my major like, I don't even think we should ban knights now from going to events. I just think it's on to the person not to be a bit of a bell end with them.
Yeah,
so
it's always up there.
I'm not doing that in the next edition, having like me 1 month of experience of looking at the rules saying this is broken, because I don't like it. If the game's broken, I won't play it. Like, it's not going to be a case of like I'm just start mucking about with the rules myself. So I'm hoping people won't do that. So I was looking at like I think some of the things that people have noticed. Like, there's a conversation today about Primarchs. Lots of Space Wolf fans are really unhappy about Leman Russ, and I think they're all wrong. Every single one of them takes is wrong, because they're saying they're doing that thing where you get the old profile and the new profile, and you look at them, but you're taking the new profile into the 1.0 game, the first edition game. That it's not the same game. It's not going to be the same. For example, the weapon skill chart being what it is, that's looking really, 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 for me, nice. I think that's a really welcome change in terms of when you get that boost that takes you to a higher weapon skill from charging, or you get a Praetor whose weapon skill 6. Like, they'll feel like they are swinging their sword and defending themselves properly against weaker opponents. I can see if people would be a bit annoyed where they could be hitting things on 6s, or not at all in some cases. But I just don't. I like because it's quite a granular system where the lowest weapon skill a Space Marine has is 4. There isn't any 3s. The highest is 6 for a Praetor. Then you get into Primarchs. I don't really think the system could keep supporting that. Like, I'm weapon skill 4, your weapon skill 6, but I'm hitting you on a 4. Like, that starts to get a bit. I don't like that as much.
There's not enough. Like you said, there's not enough granularity to it. Is that the correct phrase to use? Yeah. I'm actually looking for that chart. I can't find it. I've lost it.
I did have it at one point. Let's see. So if you are, that's the wounding chart. I think the wounding chart stayed the same, which is good as well.
Yeah, that did say the same.
I can't see the weapon skill chart, so I'll just have to pretend.
It doesn't matter. You've pretty much explained it anyway, as it is. So
I think it is. It'll be interesting seeing that anyway. I think that's the.
Yeah.
I think it will be interesting seeing the impact that'll have on certain characters. Like, someone like Sigismund will be swinging like nobody's business, and that's where you'll need to be a bit more tactical in your throwing things in. So I think as well on Primarch front, the Primarchs getting your Legion rules I think is pretty cool. I know they're made on Earth, and they're not, strictly speaking, they're not like Leman Russ is a good example. He wasn't born on Fenris. He was raised on Fenris, but he technically is Terran. So I can see how people might say that's rubbish. But it's all about the genetics, I think. It's like the whole point is their sons, if you want to call them that, are full of their genetics. So the same, it should really be from the top to the bottom. Everyone has that rule. And tanks have them as well, which is interesting because I don't really see many of them benefiting from them in the rules so far. Unless you've got ones like Imperial Fists with a +1 to hit.
Yeah.
Certainly I don't think either our legions benefit.
No. I can't see. Because the way my rules have changed, it's all sort of like off reactions.
Yeah.
Rather than a beneficial trait. Yeah, that's an interesting point actually, because Iron Warrior. I'm just thinking like Iron Warriors. So they get +1 strength to shooting against vehicles.
Yeah.
So that would apply to their tanks then.
the ones that have the Legion as Astartes, which I
Yeah,
think is every single one that is crewed by an Iron Warrior.
yeah,
So even like that for me, then you might be worth looking into getting your multi-melt on a Rhino,
yeah,
because that's then becoming much
yeah,
more savage sort of thing. So
yeah.
there's a bit of sort of, I think there'll be a bit of jiggery pokery in terms of what people will be taking, which is good. Um,
It's this new edition's definitely going to be mixing things up. Absolutely. Like even when you go through the Rites of Wars, like there's just things that are more viable. So like even the Dreadnought, if you I don't know if you've looked at it, the
yeah. Mhm.
Fury
Shame,
of the Ancients.
shame they took out the box dreadnoughts though.
Yeah, yeah. Rest in peace. They'll be forever in our thoughts. R.I.P. Uh,
You don't have any. Piss off. I've got loads over there.
yeah, I meant in our thoughts. Not. I don't literally own any, but no. But they, yeah, it's a shame they took them out. But we'll get onto that sort of stuff, I guess. But what was the other one I was looking at?
The Pride of the Legion changed, which is good.
No, oh no, it was Armored Breakthrough, but it's now called Armored Spearhead. So you get it's obviously a mix between Armored Breakthrough and Armored
Ah, okay. I didn't notice
Spearhead
that
from
one.
before. So you still get like your Predators you could take as troops, but you can now buy guys who could take Rhinos can now take Land Raiders.
Ah, okay. It's
So it's like a
interesting.
mix between them. So that actually makes both those, in my opinion anyway, that makes both those Rites of War now more viable an option,
Yeah.
personally.
I think
Um,
it depends, because I like the Land Raider on its own one. I did quite well with that on my Space Wolves.
you
So
need an army like Space Wolf so to really
yeah,
get the use of that, don't you?
I think
Um,
I think it'll encourage, like like you've just said there, if you've got a Legion that's more shooty, now you've got like potentially the best of both. So
yeah,
I don't mind. I never noticed that. That's quite an interesting change. So that's, I don't mind that.
yeah,
So hopefully that's legit. Yeah, I think there's just a bit more to think about. They've gone through. I think they've gone through certain stuff. Like Pride of the Legion has a problem in terms of, like, we as a meta in Scotland are very Terminator heavy.
mm,
So having that in there where they've taken some negatives now, I quite like
yes,
that. I think that's where you've got to take lots of infantry.
yeah,
You can't have a fortification, which people generally didn't take anyway. You can
yeah,
only have a single heavy support, and fast choice is brilliant, I think, in terms of that. And it means you're probably then relying on Spartans for your heavy support,
mm,
like
mm,
your heavy weapons that you would take as
yeah, yeah,
dedicated.
yeah,
So I quite like that, I think. So I, I'm I think we'll need to see how it shakes things. Generally, I'm not a big fan of having to buy new stuff. Although I think most of the people that I play with won't have to because they have big collections anyway. But I'm thinking of
yeah.
someone like James, who he's quite sort of 3K and done with a project. I
Mm-hmm.
think that'll be a shame if he's then got to go out and shell out lots of money to get different stuff to stay. Well, we're not particularly strong meta, but if he's got to make something viable by doing that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Rachel is calling me out in the chat. We don't need tech support anymore, thank you. I'm not having that.
That's, I was just going to say there is, talk about Rights of War. I am quite disappointed in one, and it's the Underworld Assault. I just feel like it needed something else in there. So like you can take termites instead of a rhino.
Yeah.
You could take them as fast attack and heavy support. Okay. I don't really understand why you would want a termite and fast attack or heavy support by itself.
Mm.
I don't really get that because most things can probably take a rhino, but okay. All units in the detachment that begin play on the battlefield and not in reserve gain stubborn until the end of the turn in which any units assigned to a drill are deployed on the battlefield. No fortifications, that makes sense. Models selected as part of the detachment using the right war that are not a termite or embarked on a termite may not be placed in reserve and cannot take part in alternative deployments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think
I love drills, and I just wish there was more to that one, but that's probably the only one I'm a bit disappointed in.
the drill thing, it's I guess it'll depend on the deep strike and charging rules. I think because
Yeah,
I
maybe.
don't I don't imagine they'll keep their things they've got now where they can in theory destroy an entire unit just by fluke.
Mm.
I hope not anyway, but it's be interesting to see what they actually do because it's a very strange one. It stands out as being really unique in that nearly every single Rite of War that's generic, you are either buying a lot of one thing like jet bikes or
Yeah,
recon squads, or you're buying like lots and lots of Land Raiders that you can buy from Games Workshop or Dreadnoughts you can buy from Games Workshop. That one
yeah,
is at the moment might turn out, if you went through all of those, it could turn out to be the most expensive Rite of War on the basis that you're going to have to buy like 4 or 5 termites to play it.
yeah.
Um,
What are they like? 84 quid each or something? Actually, no,
yeah,
it'll be more than
more
that
than
now.
that now, more than that now.
Yeah,
So it could end up
yeah,
being the most ridiculously expensive Rite of War for such a gimmick, and that's where
yeah,
a lot of the other ones, like you could say the Armored Breakthrough one was a gimmick, or Spearhead, whatever one it was, Armored Spearhead. Um, but it's not if you already own like
yeah,
3 Predators and a couple of Sicarans and a Land Raider. So
yeah,
that one's a bit of a strange one for me.
yeah,
I think, kind of going back to the overall system, because I've actually looked at my notes again. It looks like a speedier system, I think, in terms of trying to get right into your face early on. It looks almost like whoever has designed the system doesn't like the maneuvering on turn one, because it seems when you look at things like assault, like some models are going to have like a 24-inch threat bubble on turn one,
hmm
and I guess I don't quite follow. Like, Alpha Strike is a real risk to this edition, which would be enough to put me right off because I don't like the idea that someone just leathers me before I've even done anything.
hmm
Um, so I'm optimistic that they'll have designed it in a way to prevent that, and that's where reactions are probably born from. But it seems almost like the edition was designed like turn two, you're going to be inches away from each other, battering each other. So
yeah,
that's going to be interesting to see how that actually plays out when people get it in their hands.
yeah, yeah, definitely. What was I going to say? Yeah, that's like going back to the thing about like the movement on the vehicles. Like a lot of them are like movement like 14, 16,
Mm.
so they could be right in your face straight away. And obviously we've now got movement values back, and just going off like what you're saying about getting into your face straight away, they've obviously got that whole charge. They've got a charge chart now, so depending on your movement value, you can get a boost to your charge roll. So I'm just trying to actually bring it up. Um, where are you?
I think on that, the assaults where, so there's a rule if you try and assault someone, it pulls you out of position if you fail the assault. I
Mm,
quite like that as a mechanism. I think that sort of, it makes sense that a surge move, I think it was called in the rules, where you can move
yeah,
forward and then you're stuck, like you're out of position. Then I quite like that. So I think that'll be, because there's always that time where you need like a 7-inch charge. You roll a 5, you go, damn, I should have made that charge, and then um, you stay where you are. Next turn, you get charged. That's going to be
yeah,
more savage in this edition,
yeah,
where not only could you have got Overwatched at full ballistic skill, but now that person's going to do it again, and they're probably going to charge you, and you might need to use a reaction to do something. So I quite like that. I can see trading being quite important in this edition as well, with the reaction around you can shoot someone that shot you. So
yeah,
if you need something to die and you shoot at it, but then they're like, I'll have one more go before I try and kill you. So I think that'll be interesting. But I just want to make sure, I want the bits that we're missing right now are around that the sort of Alpha Strike. We'll keep calling it for now,
Yeah.
and how they're going to stop that, because that's what I don't want in this edition.
So like so your maximum charge you can ever make is always 12 inches.
Yeah.
You can't go above that. But if you've got a movement characteristic of 11 to 12, which if you're using your pack, like your I think is it a Warhawk jump pack it's called now?
Something like that.
So you can boost your move value to 12. So you get a +2 modifier in your charge distance.
Yeah, and then fleet is now a modifier to that as well.
Is it?
Yeah,
So
so
that's what I was going to ask you next.
whatever the number in the brackets is what you add to your score as well. So, and it does something with run moves, but it looks like running. It's kind of weird. Running looks like it's your initiative value maybe,
Right.
or a dice plus your initiative value, because it definitely mentions initiative in there. So that will be interesting as well. But I think like capping it at 12, that seems to me like their way of balancing it. I imagine it'll have the 40k, you can't deep strike within a set number of inches of someone. I'm hoping that's what augury scanners kind of do. I hope there's something in there, like if you try and deep strike, maybe an augury scanner makes it 12 inches or makes it hard, like further, like that'd be the sort of stuff I want. I want to have, if I pay for an upgrade, you can't magically appear near me at all. Not just be like, I can overwatch you for free or whatever. Like, just have, nah, it's just a bubble. Because that'll help the game stay, like, one of the problems that people always say Armoured Ceramite's rubbish in 30k because no one takes Melta guns because everyone takes Armoured Ceramite. And you go through a circle where it's everyone takes Armoured Ceramite so no one takes Melta. So people stop taking Armoured Ceramite because there's no Melta. People take Melta and then Armoured Ceramite comes back. The same thing will happen if you have augury scanners. Everyone will take them and then no one will do any of the shenanigans, so stop taking them. I think there needs to just be a bit of, there's something in there, it has to be a balance between the risk and reward. But that sounds quite negative. I feel like we've been quite negative about it for half an hour, but it's like I'm really excited for the game. I think it's looking really, really good. It's just that I would like to see more to make sure that it's not gonna the pages we're missing aren't gonna make me sad.
Yeah.
Because they've got like when you look at psychic powers, they fixed everything I had complaints with in terms of the rules. I think the having to choose between shooting and casting powers makes sense. I like the idea. Some people don't, I've seen, but I like the idea that if a psyker, if it goes wrong, because they just do it on their leadership now, it's not a psychic pool. If you fail, it's D3 wounds to your unit. So the idea that your psyker like blasts the guys around him instead of himself is fine. Like that's almost like Saturday morning cartoon style bad guy. It's not going to hurt himself. He's going to kill the people around him.
Not even, you're sitting there. You just do a leadership check. It's no pool. You can't actually appreciate how much that actually speeds up that phase as well. Because when you've got a pool of dice and you start having to stand there, and you're like, oh, maybe I'll use 2 on this one, and then maybe I'll use 1 on this one, and whatever, and you start splitting it off, and then you make your decisions. But if you're just doing a leadership, it's just like boom, 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 done.
Yeah. And also, it's like less gamble for your opponent. There'll be, I'm assuming there's something in there that's deny the witch style. I've not really read it properly, but I'm assuming there'll be something in there that'll be like either they just get a straight roll or something prevents it.
Because Adamantium Will, I noticed on Alfarius, he's got Adamantium Will 3+.
Right, so it must be something like that. You can just
maybe you just roll 3+ and that's it. It's gone.
And that's fine with me because some of them are like this unit can't take reactions and things like that. Like the powers are a lot more meddling. I would rather have had powers that were like this unit can't move next turn. This unit gets hot next turn. This unit just things that are simple to remember, a little bit annoying, but not like this unit's just deleted. And I think that's where this seems to be taking it. Like there is a power that can go through impassable terrain. You don't have to have line of sight, and it's like strength 6 AP2 or something like that. But it's 1 hit, and that's fine. I don't mind that. I don't think there's. I want there to be more benefits to bringing a librarian, but not go so far down that path that Thousand Sons players are just laughing as they're blasting everyone off the board from miles away
Yeah,
and
yeah.
casting powers that stop you taking reactions. Every unit in your army can't take a reaction, so I
Yeah.
think there's a bit of there's a good bit there. I think I was looking at skirmish actually. I don't know if you've got as far as that. So skirmish is on the two Space Wolf units, and the only thing I've found is that it looks like it's a bigger coherency for your unit.
Right.
So it'd be someone said 3 inches, but I've not seen the source for that. And that is interesting in the assault phase. Skirmish, you fight with your unit's coherency. So it's if you've got a model engaged, it's the coherency back.
I
So
see.
it'd be
Rather than 2 inch back,
it'd be
it's
three
3.
inches, which is
Yeah.
massive, really, if you've got
That is, yeah, that is massive.
because the Space Wolf Greyslayer units can take all power weapons, so you could be sitting at the back with like quite a lot of power weapons, just leaning over and smacking the guys in the
Yeah.
front. So I think that's pretty good. So I'm quite it's wee bits like that we're missing, I think, and also there's a big issue around certain units just don't quite seem finished. Like this is obviously a playtest document, but it seems
Mhm.
very late on. Like the Greyslayers can take combat shields, but they come with combat shields already, and that's obviously a typo. They shouldn't have had them to start with,
Mm. Hmm.
which is kind of strange. I get the impression it's almost they've gone for the 2 packs they sell on Forge World, and they've
Yeah.
tried to make them be 2 units. So I wouldn't be surprised if the one with the upside down bolters becomes this new unit, the grey, whatever they're called.
Grey Stalkers.
That's it. I wouldn't be surprised if they get rebranded because it seems like they want to separate those 2 units into like a shooty one and a close combat one. But they have the exact same weapon options, so it doesn't quite. There's something amiss with that unit that I don't quite get. But um,
Why have the Grey Stalkers got Relentless?
well, that's a lot of units have got relentless now.
Oh yeah, so they do.
So I
You just
guess.
check the Alpha Legion.
Well, so if they've got relentless, though, this is something that's a bit.
This is like us. We obviously don't have all the rules, but
I think when you look at like so having relentless, so Space Wolf, Grace, all Space Wolf units can move, run, charge, and like not be penalised for it. But they can move. It looks like they can move, run, and then snap shoot, which is strange as well. I need to see if I've stuff that is somewhere on this thing. I'm just seeing in the chat we're getting told these are December leaks, which is good. That means they're a lot further on than maybe we
yeah.
expected. If someone can beat me to the Space Wolf ones, I'd be. There's quite a lot of other units being added to this set. I won't share it, but the someone has added a lot of units to the Imgur link at the bottom. So I've not seen those yet, but it just looks like Dark Angel ones. I need to see if I can find the Space Wolf thing, because I think it looks like they could move, run, charge, which was a bit strange in terms of the move, run, snap, shoot, charge, maybe. So that's where you start to get a bit sort of. You need to see the rules in hand to fully
Aye.
understand them properly.
Because the reason I was asking is because obviously Relentless used to be you can move and shoot like heavy weapons or salvo weapons.
Yeah, so I wonder if there's something. Yeah, there'd be something. I'm not going to scroll through to find that. Someone can tell me in the chat if they do it. I think it's interesting. The sort of there's going to be these little moments that are going to happen in games now where your just sun's going to click, and I really like that moment in a new edition where you're like, that's why that rule's there,
Yeah.
or that makes my unit a lot better. So quite, I think, as I can see in the chat there saying that Blood Angels have been nerfed, and I think you can kind of say that about all of the Loyalist legions, and I think that's the one thing I've noticed is when you go through the traitor stuff, which is a lot earlier playtest document, it's not a finished book. I would say they're looking stronger on paper than the Loyalist ones, and I wonder if they started like a process of diluting what they gave each Traitor Legion, because like Night Lords, it looks like Night Fighting's a minus to your leadership, and Night
Hmm.
Lords can keep that on pretty much half the game, and they've got rules that if they've got higher leadership than you, they have an impact. I think I'm getting mixed up maybe, but it looks like they get quite a lot of benefits from Night Fighting, and it'll
Hmm.
be interesting to see if they get toned down as they've gone through these iterations of the book, because it does look like on paper that certain legions have been nerfed, like Iron Warriors have lost their no morale to shooting, which was massive, but now they're kind of good in a different way. And I think the Blood Angels one, the +1 to ramming is strange. Don't quite follow where Blood Angels in the background are notorious for ramming other vehicles, but they have lost some other
Hmm.
stuff. But I think everyone has, and I think that's where, like, I'll sit and say I think Space Wolves are better, but that's because I play them in that style, so it's better for me. But it'll be
Hmm.
interesting to see what legions have actually got better. Um,
It's,
so
it's interesting as well, like saying that because I said to you when I first seen like the Alpha Legion stuff. If you went on the Alpha Legion Facebook pages and all that, and I'm disagreeing with the wider internet, it would appear, but everyone was complaining about how Alpha Legion are like more vanilla now and how they're so rubbish now and they've lost all their abilities, what made them strong. And I was like, I said to you, I was like, I totally disagree with that. Like before, what did I do as Alpha Legion every game? I infiltrated. Yeah, super powerful. But after that point, I am a vanilla Marine. There's nothing else going for me at that point. But now it's like, I get to use another Legion's advanced reaction. I can take other Legion units without even taking a Rite of War. Um, I can ignore the first reaction in every phase, which can be okay. We haven't seen them yet, but that could be super powerful used right. Um, so, like you, I think Alpha Legion are coming out stronger than this.
but I think it's like they've taken it down a path, one direction. So if you don't play that direction at the moment, then you are going to be punished for it. And I think that's where, like, I can see, like, people would be upset if they're losing sort of something that they, because it's right to say every legion could do everything. Every legion could run all tanks, they could run all infantry, they could run all terminators, and it's not fair if you have an all tank army if your rules all make you good at terminators, but they haven't seemed to have done
Yeah,
that. So
yeah.
I can see where concerns would come from, and I think it's a bit that to me what's in the chat there. I never know how to pronounce your username, so I'll just call you O. How that in the chat, that is a bit weak in the grand scheme of things. If you're thinking of you only get it on the charge, if you contrast that with being able to run in charge on everyone, I can see
Mm.
that why that is. That to me is the problem of what I've just said around. It looks like the Blood Angels are going to lean very heavily into that deep strike charge with Assault Marines and Sanguinius, and that's been written with that in mind. And I don't want to see that in every game for Blood Angels because it's not like it's just not interesting then if it's going to
Hmm.
be all Assault Marines. So I don't know. It's I'm hoping there's something in there that we've missed. I was trying to have a quick flick, but I don't like doing that while I'm trying to talk because I'm rubbish at it. So see if there was something missing. Maybe that's why you got +1 to RAM, which is not exactly a compensation for a crap. Like if everyone else has gone a bit rubbish, no one's ever going to remember to RAM.
Ram, do you know what? Right, I'm going to stay positive here, but I think knowing from what I've seen that they've gone through things and sort of refined things for the better, in my opinion, I think we might see ramming is actually worthwhile now, or something like that. Maybe that's why that's come in. Because let's be honest, ramming was always a bit rubbish, in my opinion.
Mm. So yeah, I think like it doesn't quite. I think because it was you could just step out the way and be like, oh
Yeah,
well, that was pointless. And I think it
yeah.
stops you shooting in this edition, which is even more sort of pointless.
Oh, is
But
the ram rules in here?
I was having no, I don't see it in this one. I was just having another quick. I see there's like there are moves rules for fighting vehicles in combat, but that's
Mhm.
it. Yeah, I can't see anything in there. I was just looking at the bottom to see if there was anything super exciting that had been added, but it looks like it's just, well, I'm saying just, but it looks like it's all the Dawnbreaker cohort are on there for you. Oh, uh, they've got Furious Charge 1, Set the Sky aflame, which I can barely read. Um, -1 modifier to leadership when taking pinning tests caused by Deep Strike Assault. Okay, there we go. So there's something
What
else.
was that? Say that again.
You get -1 to your leadership characteristic when taking any pinning tests caused by the Deep Strike Assault. So
Yeah.
there's something hinted at there in terms of what that means. Angel's Tears are on there as well. They've got counter attack, stubborn, bitter duty, which I don't know what that is. Yeah, there's just a few extra units on that link, which I definitely won't share because I feel bad for doing so.
Bitter duty. Bitter duty. Is that not the feel no pain thing?
Bitter duty is got a really weird, like you get the Legion sort of line troops, or you get the bitter duty one. Um, I won't try and find that myself. Someone in the chat can probably tell us the thing if they've got a link to it. I think someone put it in the Discord earlier, so it's probably floating about even easier to find. But I think saying all that, saying like I think it is quite an interesting system. I actually like reactions to an extent. I think reactions will be interesting from the point of view of because they're limited. They're quite a rare little resource. Um,
Yeah.
there's certain ones like the Space Wolf one, which is one per battle, which I think is going to be really interesting to see.
I think I think all the like Legion ones specific are once per battle.
No, I think the Imperial Fist one's not because they've got one about
Is it?
charging. I think that you can do that.
Oh, is it not?
No,
Oh,
I think
okay.
that's not. I might be wrong. Someone can tell me if they're a Fist player and they've read it in better detail than me. But it'll be interesting in that sort of mechanic of when do you use it? Do you use it on turn 2 or are you wanting to wait till late in the game? I think that'll be that's where Alpha Legion kind of come into their own. I think in terms of being able to just say, well, I'm going to always move. The first unit I move every turn is going to be my most important unit, and there's
Yeah.
nothing you can do about it.
I've got the Imperial Fist one is once per battle.
Okay, so they must have
Yeah.
all been once per battle then. So that's pretty good. I think that'll be interesting. And is anyone? Surely there's some people in the chat that want to share their happiness or woes about their own Legion reaction. Because the Space Wolf one's very good. To be able to charge on your opponent's turn, and they can't even overwatch you, I think it's written as well, is pretty good. I think that's going to be something that you'll keep that in your pocket for when someone tries to deep strike assault you, and whatever comes out of that drop pod or out of that termite, you're just going to pounce right on. And you can
Yeah.
use a contemptor or something like that as well, which obviously they have wounds. I think they had wounds now. I've not seen that profile again. But the idea of having something like that that can rip a unit to bits will be really strong.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I've not actually. I've actually avoided looking at the reactions because the Alpha Legion have to choose someone else if they don't get their basic own one. I want to wait until I've got all the rules as they're released before I start making up my decisions, you know?
Like Hi Marshall Dave in the chat is just saying doesn't know if it's good or bad because he hasn't played a game yet. So that's the healthiest position to be in. You won't have to be upset if you've never used the things that you're losing.
Yeah.
So that's good. I think the only thing that, and I think I've already said this to you, the bad aspect I think is that they have removed a lot of AP2 from the game, and
Yeah.
they've added wounds to a lot of Terminator units, and I think that might cause our meta to expand even further into the Terminator meta.
Don't say it. Don't.
And then they've even, and this is actually this is the one you'll get this one moan. I'm allowed this. This is my one. I wish they hadn't done this. Everything else I can forgive and I can deal with and I can find a way around. What I don't like is they've upped the transport capacity of vehicles. I know that is probably sacrilege to many people to say that out loud, but it's a tactical game where you have to make tactical decisions, and having a Rhino of a capacity of 12 is rubbish in my eyes, and I think that's a mistake. They've capitulated to the people that have griped because they want to attach an apothecary to their 10-man tactical squad, and like no, just that is rubbish. I'm really not looking forward to that because not only do Rhinos barely look like they could hold 5 models right now, even the new one isn't going to be massive. I just don't like the idea of essentially all it does is it rewards the player that has a bog standard 10-man squad. Whereas if I took a 20-man squad, I'm getting nothing. Like it doesn't it fixes a problem of min-minners. It doesn't fix a problem of maximum. Like if I get a 20-man squad, I'm wanting a 50-point discount for not.
Nah, you're getting bayonets. It's fine.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Get my chain bayonets.
Leave my rhinos alone.
No, I think 10-man would have been better. Anyway, that's my one. That's the only bit I've written bad dash on my notes. So I'm not a big fan of that, but I can see why they've done it. I don't think it's going to help the system because it's not going to make it better in that way. I think though the things we're kind of missing, we need to see running to see if it is an initiative value related thing. We need to see what they're going to do with the things that have been cut. Like the assault ram, I think it's silly not to have brought that back, and the only reason I can think is someone has destroyed the master in Forge World, or it's on a list of things to digitize, and they haven't done it because it doesn't make any sense not to have the assault ram is iconic really now. Like the idea of it is iconic. There's not really any vehicle that does the same. Like you could say the Charybdis, in terms of the lore, like when you attack an enemy ship, that was meant to be like it flies in, shoots lots of melta, and the guys jump out from wherever it crashes into that ship. And the Charybdis kind of does the same. It attaches to the hull and cuts a hole, and the guys run out. But there's not really anything. There is a space in the game for the assault ram, so I don't know why they've got rid of it, and it's never come back. But when you look at like box dreadnoughts, box dreadnoughts should be a thing. Like there isn't a reason not to have them at all. I don't get why you wouldn't just use the Games Workshop kit that's in plastic, unless they're planning on bringing one out later. But I don't understand. Like if you take purely Space Wolf lore, the Space Wolves don't like Contemptors because they've got a bad juju, bad magic about them. They don't like it, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy because they always put the most depraved, fucked up Space Wolf in a Contemptor, which meant that person inside there was a weirdo and made them not like Contemptors because they were weird. So it was like a constant cycle of that routine. So they preferred box dreadnoughts, and now you can't fulfill that lore tick, and that makes them a bit blander to me because that would have been like I've got Contemptors, they're over there, but it would have been nice to have still had access to the alternative. I'm not really sure why they've done that.
I think it's just I think, like I said to you, I think it's they're just cleaning it up. They did it with 40k, just like, so they're not making the assault ram anymore. They don't really have a heresy specific box knot. What else? Special characters they're not making models for. Get rid of them as well. Sky Seekers, you know I spent ages fucking doing that unit. They're gone from what we can see. Achilles Land Raiders gone. They're not making models for any of this stuff right now, really. So I think they're doing that sort of cleaning up like they did for 40k, and tightening obviously their manufacturing and tightening what models people can buy and use.
Yeah, and I don't mind that per se. I don't like legacy rules as a concept because it, like the 40k ones have been quite firm. That was like the last rule set they're ever going to get. When it goes to 10th edition, I don't think they'll do the same for those models. I think they'll probably just say, well, you had legacy rules, they're gone. And I think that's where I'm a bit sad. Achilles haven't been gone that long. It's not that, like, it's a unique vehicle, and it's not like there's not really anything else that fits that groove. Land Raiders at full stop is weird. Like, are they all just going to be
Yeah,
rebranded as Proteus? Because
yeah.
I'm going to play mine as Proteus. I'm not bloody spending another like 300 quid buying Proteus tanks just to fill the game.
Mm.
So it's very
Yeah, that was the other one,
strange,
wasn't
that
it?
stuff.
There
Uh,
is the I wonder if it's partly, let's be honest, like this game, like as in Heresy, is going to be is probably second to 40k. 40k is obviously the main concern of GW. That's what's bringing them their money, their players. So if it's something that can't really be used in 40k, then are they willing to keep it just for us?
hmm.
You know, they're obviously going to be phasing out box knots eventually. A lot of the characters are not making again. You're not using them in 40k. Probably Land Raiders at some point they're going to get phased out, I guess, by some Grav Raider or something for Primaris or some shit.
Yeah,
So maybe that's part of it as well.
it could be. So I've actually someone has just posted the vehicle rules. So um, it is what we have at the moment, where if you move half your movement, you can shoot everything unless you shoot a ordnance or destroyer weapon, which makes all your other shots snap shoot. Don't say that. Like in the, I feel like I'm breaking poor O's heart here. Iron Hands are quite strong still. I agree.
Mm.
Uh, I'm sorry if we're bringing you bad takes. What was specifically? No, Grav Raiders.
No,
That's fine. I thought you were saying like we were saying
no,
bad things. That's fine. They're not going to be in
no,
there.
I don't. I'll just say I don't think we're getting Grav Raiders. I'm just saying like because they are in 40k, we're not getting our Land Raider kit anymore, sort of thing, you know.
Yeah.
But
I'm just checking. So cruising speed, which is half or more, is only a single weapon at
where
full
have you got
ballistic
this?
skill. It's just this is on 4chan.
Ah, right.
So you can fire one weapon without modification. Everything else snap shoots, but you can't fire ordnance or destroyer. So that's fine. I don't think there's anything amazing in that. Um, it was the defensive weapons I was quite interested in terms of what that means for. You can overwatch with certain ones, or you can. It must be defensive weapons. It must presumably be something that's on the profile. Mako Iron Hands. That's it. The Blood Angels are in the bin. So I'm assuming that it is like defensive weapons will be like non-heavy weapons or something like that. But it'll be in the rules probably what says
Yeah.
like this is a defensive weapon. Here's ramming actually. So you ram
Oh.
into something.
Uh-huh.
D6 automatic hits if you hit a non-vehicle unit. Strength equal to half the front armor value of the ramming vehicle with AP dash. If it's a super heavy, then it's always strength 10 and it's 2d6 hits to the unit. Then they have to take a morale check and fall back if they fail. And that's it, I think.
Right. So
You get +1 strength to the hit if it's a vehicle, if you've got more hull points than whatever you're ramming, and +4 strength if you are slow or super heavy, but to a maximum of 10. And then you roll for armor pen against each other. So that's a bit better actually. That's not too bad.
that is that. I'd say that's significantly better because tanks. What they've ended up doing is actually just making ramming like both things. You know, it used to be ram and tank shock.
Yeah.
But now it's just ram, and tank shock used to be. I don't think you did D6 hits. You just
No,
forced them to take a morale, didn't you? And they just fell back or they got out of the way.
and Death or
And they
Glories.
could make a single hit against you. But this is better.
Death or Glories
So much
are
better.
a reaction as well. And they've tried to fix the firing arcs actually, which is good. There's a centre line, which is obviously just the width of the vehicle. Sponsons are 180 on each side by the look of it as well. Is how they.
So like that. So that thing about ramming for Blood Angels, you know, they're all about getting in there hard and fast, getting into combat. So I think the ramming suits them. If it's going to be doing stuff like that,
Yeah, I think that's
that'll be pretty good as well.
not so bad. It looks like it's the same destroy for vehicle damage chart. So I'm doing this live, which isn't very good, but it looks like it's the exact same for crash and burn is is a weaker strength 8, but it's the exact same. Like 1 to 3 is snapshoot, 4 is stunned, 5's weapon destroyed, 6 is immobilized, and all that sort of stuff. So there's nothing fancy on that. Almost looks like the same page, to be honest, with the cover. I think it's the exact same cover for the 25% or more for a vehicle. It might be there might be a picture of the new Spartan in there as well. I'll come back to that. Maybe I'll put.
I've noticed something about Spartans.
They're annoying.
Well, apart from that, and there's going to be more of them. You know.
Go on then.
If you notice them, they can't take armored Cenobite.
Well, I think that's what I was hoping I was going to see in here. I was going to say what the vehicle was, if it was heavy or it was like its subtype, because I haven't seen that in here, which is a shame. Because I thought maybe they would have a built-in thing.
Because you can't take it on Land Raiders either anymore.
Yes, I wonder if there's just going to be less of that.
I hope so. There's nothing worse than an armored Cenobite Spartan with a flare shield.
If you're inside a vehicle that is shaken, stunned, weapon destroyed, or immobilized, you have to take a leadership test, and if you pass, you're fine. If you fail, you're snap shooting the shooting phase, which is different. You obviously have to do a pinning test if you come out of a wrecked vehicle. It's strength 8. Whoa, strength 8 if you're inside an exploding vehicle now. AP dash.
That's instant death.
That is pretty brutal. That's a massive change.
That's good. That is good. Yeah. I'm all for that.
Strength 8 AP dash, and it's every model. It's not like a D6 or anything. Which I think is at the moment. That is at the moment.
It's every model that comes out of an exploding vehicle takes a hit. But this is going back to what you're saying about how you don't like. Well, actually, sorry. Going back to things about like refining rules and whatever, right? So they've obviously upped the transport to 12, so people can take apothecaries, they can take praetors, consuls, whatever. But they also run the risk now that if that vehicle explodes, they're all taking a strength 8 hit. So
yeah, that's pretty good. So
that is good.
There's slow vehicles. You roll when you roll on the vehicle damage chart, you roll 2d6 and you take the lowest. And it always counts as moving at cruising speed. Fast.
Is that heavy?
That's slow.
Slow. Okay.
Fast vehicles are always considered at combat speed. So that's weaker for them. That's better. That's because it says other than pivoting, they're always treated as combat speed. So that's pretty good.
And what's the movement value of a Cicada?
Oh, yeah,
it must be more than 12 because Land Raider's 12.
That's interesting as well, yeah. You can
so they'll be scooting all over the place.
Move flat out and you move twice your movement characteristic, but then on a 1 you take a glance and hit. Skimmers looks the same. Super heavy vehicles just ignore all terrain. I think they did that at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like vehicle damage is the same for super heavies. It's D3, and you can't have any of the other effects. And I think it looks like it's the chart is not a chart anymore for the explosion. Just catastrophic damage is strength 7 plus D3 hits with AP 4 against every model within 6 plus D6. So you could get 10, you could get 8.
Okay.
And you have to take a pinning test, which is good as well, actually. I like that change.
And
I think I'm skimming down in case I've got something else exciting. Centurions are still in, obviously. And it's the confirmation of who they can be. So Librarian, Esoterist, Master Signals, Champion, Forge Lord, Medicae, Siegebreaker, Chaplain, Vigilator, Pathfinder, Moritat, Praevian, Delegatus, Herald, Armistice, and Mortificator. And there's one in a Centurion in Cataphracti as well.
Mm.
who can they've already like saved you the bother of telling you the ones it can be. Like if one of them precludes having Terminator armor or whatever.
Yeah.
Still got command squads. Cataphracti command squads. Flyers are here as well. This guy's pushed it up a lot. I feel bad. Um, Flyers can only use evade as a reaction, which I'm assuming is like jinking. Which actually it'd be quite interesting if jinking is your reaction in a phase. It's not there on this page I've got, but that's interesting. Of course, they've specifically said it's that it is for that. I think it looks like flyers are much the same in terms of being in zoom mode and hover mode.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't say about you getting shot at. I need to look into that properly, it's too long. Cavalry cannot be pinned. They are not slowed down by difficult terrain, even when charging. But then they take difficult as dangerous. Cavalry is bikes, jet bikes, land speeders, and actual cavalry. Infantry's bog standard.
Just on that whole, sorry, I'm going back about the Spartans thing. But I just noticed that Melta guns don't have Melta. They've got Armor Bane Melta.
Wonder if
So
that must have changed something as well. And then
so assuming Armor Bane's still the same, that's just like essentially Melta, but 2d6
so
at any range. That's what it used to be.
James is going to need to get ready to be mad. So it does have automata models are fearless by default. They have successful wounds like with poison or flesh bane have to be rerolled. They cannot take reactions, and unless you're an automata, you can't join the unit. Dreadnoughts.
Like I kind of get that though, because they sort of, because they're automata, they sort of come across to me as being like just this dumb robot.
Yeah.
So why would they be able to just like instinctively react to it?
I wondered if though like a tech priest would give them the ability to do it if they were nearby or something, because that's what would be an easy balancing act for mech. Because that makes your individual like Magos really important where they are on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Dreadnoughts are the same. They can shoot everything, including ordnance and heavy, and they can charge after doing so. That's pretty much the same concept there. Then there's Demon Primarch, Line subtype, Anti-Grav subtype, Artillery, Monstrous, Heavy. Heavy, that's what you wanted to know, isn't it? Heavy is reroll failed armor saves against Template and Blast, which is what Cataphracti have. You can't run, and when you are making a movement during a reaction, based on your initiative characteristics, there's something there we've not got, you reduce that distance by 1. There's something called light as well. I was trying to see if I could get the challenge thing, because that was I like that challenge idea that you just wail on someone to the point that they are just dead and you've cut them up into a million pieces and that makes everyone else sad. And it is the case in this edition. Yeah. So you can, and then so someone had been quite cheeky and said, so say I was initiative 6, I kill your guy at initiative 6, your guy's at initiative 4, kick me in.
Yeah.
It just says that the challenge is considered to be ongoing, so you can only do it if my guy at initiative 6 is the only model left.
Are you still in the vehicle rules?
No, I'm down to characters now. Why you got a vehicle question?
Reinforced. What's that rule?
Let's see if I've got. This is live, very exciting. I don't think that was there actually. Reinforced must be something else.
Look, I just want to know that my Rhinos equipped multi-melters are going to start absolutely shredding Spartans.
I don't see anything about reinforced, I'm afraid. I'll need to get this link into the Discord after this. So it's quite exciting. I think some of the things there are pretty good. I think
Yeah.
that makes me a bit even happier probably in terms of I'm not so happy about heavy because Cataphracti getting that or it's not ideal for me. I'm surprised
Yeah,
about
like with the loss of so much AP2 as well. Like a lot of, like you said, like Demolisher
yeah.
cannons, they're down to AP3.
I just
Um,
saw in the flyer thing that says that you can't shoot a zoom in flyer without snapshots, so that's back.
right.
I've got some good Spacewolf stuff here, which I'll be excited about.
You will be.
Yeah, everyone else will be miserable.
Yeah. We'll just all take a break. We'll see you later, man.
Yeah, yeah, get away. I don't want to talk to you anyway. I want to look this up. So Storm Seers for the White Scars, I assume. What's the Paladin of the Hecaton Istica? That must be Dark Angels going by that. Aye, so here is a Jarl, which is all I care about. So you get counter attack 2, so that's if you're charged, you get 2 extra attacks. You get skirmish, which I'm assuming is that thing we were talking about.
Yeah.
That's the Jarl, but it doesn't say what that costs, which is weird. Oh, it's 10 points. 10 points. Then if you do a Legionis Consularis Pack Thane for 10 points, which is just a Centurion, you get counterattack 1, and then you get skirmish, and then you cannot take a jet bike. Oh, a Legion Spatha combat bike, which is obviously they've decided to rebrand them as well.
Yeah.
Castellan must be Imperial Fists. Iron Fathers are there. Speaker of the Dead and Caster of Runes. More Space Wolf bullshit for you guys. Leadership 10. Must be what a chaplain is. Stubborn and hatred everything. Has to have Empower Maul though.
Decent.
Well, AP3 now. So yeah. And the psychic power is so there's a psychic hoods back, and I think psychic hoods must be something about that bubble that protects your guys, like it was in the older edition.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's that anyway. So I only get a certain amount of powers. Adamantium will 4+. Yeah, it looks pretty much. Oh, there's some fancy powers you get as well for your own. Like if you get your own librarian, you're getting some fancy powers. Anyway, I won't labour on that. I'll enjoy that at my.
Yeah, you go enjoy that with a cup of tea after this.
Yeah, Force Organisation chart is your Lords of War and Primarchs. You can't take one in less than 2,000 points. It's the same 25% of your army. However, it looks like the combined points value of all Lords of War and Primarch must not be more than 25% of the army's total cost.
Yeah, we seen that, didn't we?
So Primarch is your own. You have to take HQ, 2 troops. It's 6 troops, 4 elites, 3 fast, 3 heavy, 1 fortification, and 1 Primarch. You can then take an extra Lord of War, although they accidentally made it black, which I'm not sure I follow that. Your allied detachment is now 4 troops, 2 elites, 1 fast, 1 heavy. But you only have to take 1 HQ and 1 troops choice. And that's me caught up with that person. So there you go. Got some breaking news.
I've got some more bad news for James.
What you done?
Metal bombs. They're instant death now.
Where's that?
Under I've lost page. Armory exotic weapons.
Uh-oh.
I was just like, I wonder what exotic weapons are there. Metal bombs, instant death.
What AP are they? Are they AP?
Was that?
What AP are they?
1. Strength 8, AP 1.
Oh.
Unwieldy, armor bane, instant death.
Okay, well, he's not going to like that, is he?
That's savage. That's obviously assuming they still work the same as before, where a whole squad of like 20 guys can all throw one each.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll have changed something with that. It does seem a bit harder to get some of these things, which is another sort of, for me, a good change to the game is that it's.
Well, that's a good point. Maybe worth checking veterans, because they used to all be able to take one.
Right, so all that stuff I've just blabbed about, if you are on the Discord, that link that someone put up is all on there now. The Imager. I think it's Imager, and I just pronounced it wrong. And never mind bloody James, I've got mech over there as well. I'm going to get shafted by
Yeah.
this. So that's good. If you're on that, if you refresh that link, you're getting them all anyway. So I was trying to be nice and give you it all, but you didn't even need it. So in terms of, we might as well press on and not have a break unless you're bursting for a pee, because I've not got a huge amount more at this point.
No, I'd rather just press on, mate, and then we'll get into the chat early.
Yeah, the Discord would be good.
See everyone else's thoughts.
I've got a lot of painting to do, so it'd be good to get some company for that.
Have you seen much about like bayonets and chain glaives? Not chain glaives.
Yeah, those rules were out. Yeah, they are exactly as.
I know the bayonet is strength +1.
So one of them is bayonet's +1, but two-handed, isn't it?
Yeah. Strength +1.
I've not seen chain bayonets and bayonets, but I think chain bayonets presumably will be like chain swords and have shred, would be my guess.
Oh wait, here we go. Chain bayonet. It's the same with shred, yeah. I like that.
So there's a little extra thing he's put. He's also said he's hungover today, but you're my hero, leaker man. So Mechanicum faction is all armies from Tagmata Omnissiah army list or any variation, as well as the Questoris Knights army list. The Imperial Army faction represents all armies using the Solar Auxilia or Imperialis Militia and Warp Cults army list or any variation of them. So that's interesting. They've kind of hinted at that stuff as well. So I guess we've kind of gone through all that and rambled on a little bit. But what do you think? And you can go first since it's easier. What do you think it is going to mean for your army going forward? So we're both quite blessed. We've got rather large collections. We're not a 3K in stop kind of pair. So what do you think it'll mean for your armies?
What will it mean for my armies? Well, I'm going to end up buying a lot more. I'm going to end up buying a lot more tacticals. I like running big, even though I always run a Rhino with 10 guys, blah blah blah. I like the idea of running big blobs, and I can see them being more versatile now with the extra rules they're getting. So they get the feel no pain when they're within 6 inches of an objective. Getting them like the bayonets and all that. That's going to make them more useful, as I can see.
Okay.
So I'm going to end up buying more tacticals. I'm going to end up buying more unique Legion units, because I have to say goodbye to my Iron Havocs, I think, by the looks of things, which you'll be pleased about.
Pretty pleased.
But, like we were saying, I don't need a Rite of War now to use other Legion units, and I can take up to 3, which is brilliant. But apart from those as new units, I don't think it's going to change the way I run my army at all, to be honest. Because my army is very vanilla, and the new Legion rules for Alpha Legion are all based on reacting to your opponent and using other reactions, and building your army around a specific way you want to play it. So it gives me options.
You've got that sort of disadvantage in that the document that you've seen is clearly earlier on in the process as well, so you don't 100% know it's not going to be a Rite of War or some other shenanigan in there that's going to like...
Yeah, obviously it could change, but like, at the moment, if it stays that way, that's how I'm looking at it.
The ambition would be maybe to explore other unique units.
Yeah.
And that'll be interesting to see which ones are worth.
Because before, I think it's a big thing for Alpha Legion, because before I would take like Iron Havocs because I needed to fill some anti-tank, right? But maybe now, let's say I want to build my army based around a close combat approach, okay? Let's get an advanced reaction. Maybe I'll take your Space Wolf one, because I think I can charge you if you...
You move within 12 inches of me,
I can
charge
charge.
you, and then we're tied up for the rest of the turn.
Yeah. And maybe I'd like to use that with some Red Butchers.
Yeah.
So I'll take a unit of them. But maybe, just on the off chance, maybe I'd like to take a Space Wolf pack as well, for another option for close combat.
It's interesting.
Things like that.
It's interesting in that it supports like me and you playing a game now, and I'm picking on Alpha Legion a little bit there. Like me and you play, that's fine. You turn up with your Red Butchers and you go, haha, I'll do this. But in an event, like I could see that being, you're forced into that pigeonhole again of like, so Iron Havoc's where that, we'll call it a crutch. It's not really a crutch, but it's the word I'm thinking. The closest thing I can think of is it's like your option there because it's good and it helps your army cope with what you're trying to do. I could see you being forced down that path again, which is a bit of a shame. Where there's clearly like like a need on the weekend before the event. You're writing your army list and you go, right, I really, really, really need this ability to charge someone who moves close to me, so I'll take the Space Wolf one and I'll put my Red Butchers in and I'll put them in a drop pod or whatever you can put them in, and that'll mean I can do that in every game. And I think that's kind of sad because I quite like the adaptability idea of, say you were playing me on Friday and then you played Gary on Saturday, you could just like change to suit, and I think that's what Alpha Legion are all about.
Well, I kind of disagree with you there a bit, because if I was going to an event, it states, so the mutable tactic states, you select a single advanced reaction from the list below before the start of the game, or any models are deployed in the battlefield or placed in reserves. So theoretically, that's not something I need to put into my list straight away. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, so I'm not arguing that. I mean about your Red Butcher stuff, though.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, in an event, or even if I was playing you, because you don't always use the same stuff, you always mix your stuff up. But like I could take a really killy close combat unit from another legion, a really shooty unit, and let's just say a sort of all-rounder. And then if I'm playing like, let's say, Space Wolves or World Eaters, where I know they're going to come into close combat for me, then I'll make sure I've got a reaction which is best against that before I start the game, or before I play my models. Maybe the next game in the event, I'm playing like Iron Warriors, and I know they're going to shoot me, so I'll take a reaction to best combat that.
But that's where I would say it starts to get a bit weaker, because you're so he shoots you with +1 strength anti-tank guns. Your reaction's likely to be something like, I shoot you back. It's not quite as good. Like it feels a bit less over a weekend. You're right, you still get some flexibility in there, and obviously like it'd be crap if you could completely like, if it's had a specific rule that said you can change your army list between games if you want, that would start to get a bit weird. But I think it's maybe not quite going to have that same feel over a weekend if you are. I'll need to see what the unique units are for a start, but it'd be like, well, they're not. Can't say unique units because if you call you're not allowed to take unique units. What the Legion specific units will be before you can get overly excited or overly pessimistic. Because that's going to be the sort of breaking, I think, in terms of an army list. You're right, you'll probably have to think about what, like, I'm imagining something like the Raven Guard unit, the sniper guys, because I could see that being quite a versatile, if they fix them properly, that in your army could be quite useful in terms of like, I'll just pick off all these special characters, all these individual melta gunners in a unit or whatever. Like, I'll be quite interested in that. But so yeah, we'll see.
No, I know what you're saying, but I'm always going to be positive about it. I'm always going to be looking at the positive aspect of this, and I think my gut's telling me my ability to choose an advanced reaction and the ability for me to manipulate my army list with more specific units where I can tailor my drawbacks of my own army list like I did with Iron Havocs, I think that's going to work well in my advantage, personally. That's what my gut tells me right now. So.
And
Yeah.
anything else? Like, are you going to buy 3 termites or anything like that?
No, I don't have £200 in my back pocket, so.
That'll only get you 1.5.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No, I don't. This is the thing, like you were saying, we're quite blessed because we've got kind of large collections already. The only thing I would probably do is I'd probably want to buy more Land Raiders because I like the Armored Spearhead. So I could see myself doing that. So yeah.
I'm not sure there's. So so you've got them. You've got militia that have sort of stumbled.
Yeah, I need to. I don't want to touch them until I know what I'm getting.
I think that's fair enough.
Yeah.
I can see Steven saying there he's going to get 100 Terminators. He's going to finish his tactical horde. No one else in the chat will appreciate just how much crap you've got, Stephen.
I know.
The collection is unreal, so yeah, I'm not sure about that. There you go. There's the advice from High Marshal Dave. Do the 40, do the cut 1.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I've seen that done before. It's quite cool, actually. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion.
I think we just need to get more creative as hobbyists. I think where you see people that are in that sort of like fuck Games Workshop or whatever approach, like the problem isn't Games Workshop per se. It's almost like, do you play with total snobs that wouldn't let you do something like that, or do you play in this sort of hyper competitive meta? Like that one we joked about. I think we even talked about it in the last stream where Kieran came with not me, Kieran, the other Kieran came with his bloody can. His termite was a Pringles tube. And like you can sort of, I wouldn't say I'd let them do that in every game, but in a few games to test it out to see if it's worth spending some money on it, absolutely get. I don't care. Use a can of juice. I don't care, because I'm not that picky. Like I want to have a nice, healthy community. We're blessed in Inverness to have quite a in the grand scheme of the UK, we've probably got one of the biggest heresy communities that have got through consistently been playing it for years.
Yeah.
Maybe not got like the 20, 30, 40 player base, but we've definitely had the same group of sort of 8 or 9 people that have just played that. And I'm willing to cut people some slack to let them try stuff out. And it's going to be even more important in the new edition to do that.
Yeah.
So is that all you've got at the minute? You've not got a third army snuck away? Not one you're going to announce?
Nah. No, I really want to get the militia going, but it's just I don't want to spend ages painting up like weapon teams or something and find out I can't have them. You know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I could kind of see them mixing militia with Solar Ox in a way.
Yeah.
So they're one thing. So I do want to wait and see what's going on there.
I think that's fair enough. So I've got my 3 sort of non-marine armies. So I've got my Solar Auxilia, the militia. Actually, I've got the other one. I've got militia, mech, and Talons of the Emperor. So all of them are kind of in the same boat. Probably not go too daft with them at the minute. I think I'll probably the Solar Auxilia I need to repaint a bit because of the bashes they've had from being moved about, and I've got more units to add to them. But I'm going to park them until I get the rules and try them out with what I've got.
Yeah.
And then I'll start painting them again. Mechanicum, I think the Thalax ones that are the Forge Lord, was it? Or one of the units can take Thalax and they get your Legionis Astartes trait. So like Iron Hands players are going to be absolutely delighted. Whereas Space Wolf's been able to run in charge, maybe if Thalax are any good. So I'm not sure. They'll probably sneak in that way but not be used very much otherwise. Talons, I think, I've just got a feeling they're not going to have fixed Custodes. And if anything, they might be better again because of some of these changes. Because how the hell are you going to get through 2 up armor in an entire army with multiple wounds when they've taken away most of the plasma stuff? So Very
Metal
interesting.
bombs.
On yourself to put yourself out your misery. So I'm not sure on that. I saw a very brief leak for the weapons for Solar Auxilia, but it wasn't a screenshot. It was someone had typed it, and it looked like they'd been
Aye.
given those las rifles that were capable of taking down Space Marines, which is good. So hopefully that makes it in.
Was
But
that
from
the was that the last locks?
yeah, yeah. So that was the they've got like the upgrades for their gun that you paid for at the minute, and now they seem to be getting them built in. So the leaker said.
Yeah, but they were one use only.
Yeah, well, there's one that was two. It said something like
Was it two? Maybe
limited
it was two
two and
then.
limited. There was a couple were limited one and a couple were limited two. So I'm
Mm.
assuming that's the number of shots you can make. Because I can't see any other way of doing it that would be like trackable. So I'm not sure. We'll have to see on that. And then for Space Wolves, um, I don't really know. So I was looking at stuff that I've got that's kind of been taken out. So my Land Raiders are technically not in, but I'll just run them as Proteus if that's what the game
Yeah,
forces me
yeah,
to do. Um, Everything else is still pretty much in. I've got my Assault Ram. I've got a lot of vehicles there that need to be worked on. My infantry, I've got such a chunk of infantry anyway. I've got attack bikes which have been taken out by the look of it. Um,
mm.
but all my infantry and stuff are still and that's why it inspired me to start doing that repaint. And then I've got
Yeah.
all my drop pods as well, which will be quite fun to try. I don't think I'm faring too badly, and I don't really think there's anything crazy to add. Like I've got um, most of the sort of concepts of how I would play them anyway. I don't
Mm.
really need more infantry because I've got loads unbuilt upstairs. I'll add Mark 6. I've not got any. I don't really care about people's opinions on Mark 6. I'll add some because I like the look of the new models. And I don't think I'm really lacking in any of the stuff. So I feel a bit like, unless something amazing comes out, like the Kratos looks really, really good and
Mm.
has a 30-inch Melta blast, which seems suspicious when all the other Melta's been sort of short range taken away. They've now got this massive blast that can put on AP2 or AP1 to
Mm.
kill Terminators. But I'll definitely get a squadron of them because I like the look of it. But I don't
Do you
really
do you
feel.
think you're just when you're saying about the RAM, are you planning keeping it if it's
Um,
not in the edition?
if it's not in the rules and there's no legacy rules, it'll be on. It'll be one step closer to eBay. But
Yeah,
I imagine the value of them will have plummeted based on that.
yeah,
Although I said that, and during this, I've been getting bids on stuff I've got on eBay right now, and for some reason, people are willing to pay a lot of money for my beat up Spartan that I didn't think anyone would want. It's on like 75 quid, which is, considering the state it is, I'm concerned that people think they're getting a nice kit. I took enough photos of it, so hopefully they're not. So maybe things do hold their values longer, but there's nothing in there. I don't think there's anything Space Wolf wise that I feel desperate for. I feel, if anything, I've got too many bolters. I don't really see the point of bolters in a Space Wolf list at the moment because I feel like they're definitely a unit that wants to run in charge. So we'll see about that.
mm-hmm.
But I don't think there's anything too crazy. It's mostly just like I'm at that stage where I'm just buying stupid stuff. Like I bought so I've got a Mastodon, bought um, the Warbringer when I was down at Warhammer World. Just stupid
Yeah,
stuff like that. Like it's, if anything, this hobby is like I'm at the stage where I'm saving up for a bit and buying ridiculous stuff rather than I better buy 30 tactical marines because I've got enough of them. So
no.
I don't know if that's healthy or not. Definitely not healthy if Rachel's watching still. She'll not be happy. But it's stuff like that I've been trying to just give myself a project. Like the militia were totally like out of nowhere. I just saw Victoria Miniatures sold the Kilted guys, and I was like, oh, I'll get them because that'll be fun to work on. Try and paint tartan very hard, but I'm getting better at it. So I'll have to
No,
see how
good,
that goes.
good.
So that
Yeah,
kind of it. I see Stephen saying there about getting squats as militia. That'd be good. Um,
yeah. I think we're going to see a lot of
I think they're cool. It looks like they're
that.
going to have some cool sort of concepts behind them as well because they used AI in the old lore and that's banned by the Imperium, and that's hinted at in today's article that they use stuff
Yeah.
that the Imperium considers heretical. So could be that sort of uneasy alliance will be quite interesting to see. So I was hoping anyone else in the chat like tell us how you're going to fare with your armies and stuff like that, because that'll be interesting to hear about. And I'll carry on with some event guff. So we've got next Saturday we're doing a unofficial Titan walk. There's a few of us up here that have Titans, or lucky enough to have Titans, so we've been working on those for the last year or so to get them ready for that. Terrain's going to be a little bit sparse, I think, but that's just the nature of the beast at the moment. So I've been working on the fortress stuff in the back there, but that'll probably only come up to about the weapons of a warhound, which will be means that taller stuff might not have any cover at all, or smaller stuff might be only a -1 instead of a -2 sort of stuff. But we're doing that for a bit of a trial to see if it's worth expanding that out. Been chatting to the Titan owner guy about he offered to sort of affiliate it with the group, which should be good. And maybe we'll look into, because we're very lucky having this venue. Although have you heard anything from the hall about the new committee or anything like that?
I was just told the other day that the current committee hall organizer woman who I speak to hire it, she just said, that's her done. If you want to book anything, email this address, and that was it. So
that's that.
Okay.
Yeah, so we need to see about what that impact has for us, because we would like to do more stuff up here. We've got the AT event in October up here, which hopefully some of you would be willing to come along to, because that's a bit of an experiment as well to see how popular Adeptus Titanicus is. And doing it in our backyard is a lot easier than gambling on Stirling or somewhere else. So that'd be good if you guys were interested. I can help you guys find accommodation, can even give you lifts if you get the train up and stuff like that. Don't worry about that side of things.
Absolutely.
So just try and get yourself booked in. I think it's the 1st of October. I'll need to click my calendar while I'm
doing maybe the 3rd.
The 1st is a Saturday.
So it's first. There we go.
So we can help you guys get accommodation or whatever. Probably be really cheap at that time of year because no tourists will be here. And then we've got, obviously, June. We've got our big event that sold out ages ago. Occasionally people are dropping out and being replaced by the waiting list, so get yourself on there if you are not. It looks, I would still guess we're going to be on the old rules, but we'll wait and see. I think that's kind of slowed things up a little bit because of the awkwardness of writing rules that could then become, or writing missions that could become defunct, but it looks similar. I think I might be safe to start writing stuff now. And then we'll see. The only thing with that, I put it on that last post that I made about it, and I might need to look again at the sort of the citizen morale concept. It feels it's a bit close to the bone with what's going on in Ukraine and things like that to be having a system that's kind of based on how miserable people are that are being shelled to death. I need to think about it, because I think we're all big enough and grown up enough to know that it's not reflecting real life, but I also don't want to make light of what's going on in the world, so I might change it a little bit. I was thinking that the easiest fix would be, rather than it being 100% Imperium love down to 0 because they've all been killed, maybe have it be much more of it's middle of the road, and Horus can sway them or the Emperor can sway them, and that's easier that way, rather than it being about death and starvation and all that sort of stuff. So probably do something like that. But I'll start working on that soon. Then we've got, I don't know if I've told anyone actually, have I told you the date for the next one? It's already decided.
No.
It's December.
December? Ooh. Not November?
No, I couldn't get the date that I wanted, so it's the 3rd and 4th of December.
Alright.
Clear your diary if you want to come to that. And
I'll be there, it's clear. Good. There you go. Boom.
That's the first, because you couldn't do June.
No, I can do June. I'm in for June.
Okay, that's fine.
But I won't be using the army I said I'm using.
Okay, that's fine. I know what that one was. So there's that, and then there's that one. well, we'll talk about it offline, but there's that one I sent you earlier. I don't know if you even got the chance to read it.
No, not properly. I was in the middle of something when I opened it.
Okay.
So I just sort of skimmed over it.
We're considering doing another sort of. Well, we've got two things on the horizon. So we've got want to do a big haul game where you bring all your stuff, and it's all crazy, and do that up here over a weekend. But we need to know for sure the hall will let us have, like, if we promise we're out by 11 at night, can we leave all our stuff out and come in the morning? That's going to be our next thing.
Which is why we needed the new committee.
Yeah, so we can try that soon. And then maybe try and look at doing some sort of charity event as well, which is something I'd like to explore and see if we can raise some money for charity too. So those are all sort of the things that are coming up. I'm going to try and be a bit more present at stuff as well. Like there was Edge Empire event last weekend, didn't go, and I had a ticket, and it was such a bad timing, like around all these expenses and stuff. Like I'm really skint now. I just couldn't get down. I don't think I could have afforded the fuel and all that to go down. So I feel bad that we've not really maximised, even though it is sort of 3 hours to the nearest thing. We need to see about getting a bit more presence at stuff. And that includes maybe May. I know a few people up our way are considering going to the open day for Heresy. Although you can't go because you're in far away, America somewhere.
I'll be in Hollywood, baby.
Yeah, getting tapped up for your next career. But I might go to that. I don't know if other folk are thinking of going really, like once you start adding up all the costs, might not be that appealing for folk, but that'd be good to do. And yeah, that's kind of it. I think we'll can leave it there, unless you've got anything exciting to add.
No, I'm done. I'm good.
Okay, cool.
Getting the chat to people, I guess.
Yeah, relatively. Get Richard to dress up in his Toad suit and swash them afterwards. Yeah. So, and you say about Stephen, you say about the cardboard. That is one of the options actually, if there's enough time, but might not look as bonny as we hope. So yeah, we'll leave it there, and probably jump into the Discord chat, which I've got to get a link for people if they don't have it. So bear with me as I desperately try and click. How do I invite people? Invite people. And right. Where are you? Most of you probably have this anyway, but if you want to join in, have a chat. So what we usually do is we'll go on to the oh, I just messed that up. No, go into the Discord. There's a general chat. Usually just chat for a bit while doing some hobbying, and then sometimes it goes on really late, depending on who's about. So if you are up for a chat, that'd be great. We'll definitely be going for a cup of tea and a pee, probably, since we've been chatting for the last 2 hours. But we'll be on there sort of 5-10 minutes, and it'd be good to chat to somebody if you want to come on and tell us what you noticed about the leaks and all that.
Yep.
That sounds good. All right. Well, thank you very much, Richard.
Thank you.
We will chat to you guys in a little bit.
Cool. See you later.
See you later.